Folks, we're witnessing history unfold right before our eyes. It used to be, America sneezes and the world catches a cold. But now, America sneezes and the whole world opens fire. It all started when President Trump launched his notorious tariff war, and since then, global markets have been in chaos. The first signs came during China's Qingming Festival, when US stocks took a major dive. Then, as the holiday ended, it was as if the entire world joined in, with markets everywhere plunging like ghost money offerings at a funeral. Japan's stock market hit a circuit breaker. Prices dropped so sharply that the system had to step in and say timeout. When trading resumed, the fall just continued. South Korea? It got so bad they pulled the plug. Across Asia, Singapore, Vietnam, Malaysia, India, even Australia, same story. And over in Europe, Paris, Frankfurt, London, Milan, they all saw their markets nosedive. The message from the front lines? No need to check. Everything's crashing. And it wasn't just stocks. Oil crashed. Gold also down. Let's break it down. Stocks fell. Then oil fell. Then gold fell. On Wall Street, they call it Black Monday. But in Chinese markets, it was a bloodbath. Screens lit up in red, and investors were seeing green. Because in China, red means gains, green means losses. So how did a single tariff spark this global disaster? Even gold, usually a safe bet in times of uncertainty, couldn't hold its ground. The real issue is fear. Fear that the global economy is in deep trouble. Things were moving along, not perfect, but steady and profitable. Then America flipped the table, slammed everyone's rice bowl, and slapped tariffs on everyone, friend and foe alike. Naturally, the response was swift. China and the EU, economies 2 and 3 in the world, announced their own retaliations. And that started a vicious cycle. Global trade contracts. Countries dependent on exports, or with weak manufacturing, face disruptions. That leads to economic stagnation and inflation. Stocks and oil prices drop even further. And in a panic, funds desperate to avoid margin calls start dumping safe assets like gold. And just like that, gold tumbles too. Some people online are saying, why not just not retaliate? Cute, but naive. Imagine this. You're at a store, you haggle down a $50 item to $10, and the seller agrees without hesitation. Wouldn't you feel like you overpaid? That's exactly what some countries did. Vietnam, for example, faced a 46% US tariff, and instead of fighting back, they said, we won't tax your goods. Did America appreciate that? Nope. They came back with even more demands. Their attitude? I'll tell you when I'm satisfied, then we can talk. So, if anyone had hopes just a few days ago, those are gone now. America isn't here to negotiate. They're here to take, drain, and maybe pick up a few souvenirs along the way. This isn't diplomacy. This is economic warfare. Unless Trump pulls a sudden U-turn, we might be on the brink of a full-scale global tariff war. What happens next? To answer that, let's look back in history. As one commenter put it, any survivors of the Great Depression of 1929? How did you make it through? Back in the 1920s, the US had a surplus problem. The economy was sluggish, and farmers were blaming cheap imports. They demanded tariffs. Steel and textile industries jumped in. Hey, we're people too. Eventually, over 2,000 items were hit with higher tariffs. Despite protests from over 1,000 economists and objections from 38 countries, President Hoover signed the infamous Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act in 1930, raising duties to historic levels. The fallout? Canada tripled tariffs on 16 US products. France, the UK, Germany, they followed suit, raising tariffs and cutting off American goods. France nearly banned all US imports. Soon, over 40 countries joined in retaliation. A global trade war was born. The results were devastating. World trade shrank by 66%, and US unemployment shot up from 3.2% in 1929 to 23.6% in 1932. Now, compare that to Trump's current approach, much more aggressive. It's no wonder that on April 5th, all 50 US states held protests, with around 1,300 public events. Even Elon Musk, a former Trump supporter, is now criticizing the tariff strategy. Markets are reacting to the current situation, but no one can predict what Trump will do next. As for China, sure, there's pressure, and things are uncertain. But we've been through worse before. We're not afraid of a big stage.